feels like a festive thing to me, and the house looks happy, and it looks just so great up in the sky in the sun like that.
I see this house from my kitchen window, and I'm really going to miss it now that it's being moved down to the ocean front.
That's a great building.
My father would be laughing hysterically now if he could see this.
He's the one who brought it up
He
there,
moved
right?
it, yeah.
That's what I
Yeah,
heard, yeah.
41 years ago.
He bought it for $1. And then there was the cottage in which I think they kept boats right next to it. And while the movers were there, my father said, oh, well, while you're at it, take the little building too. It was a shell, basically. It hadn't been used in ages, and the town was poised to tear it down. And 40 years later, the whole situation is so changed that now they realize this is a historic building. It's a treasure.
If you were a novice, or if you were a modern-day boater, you'd look at Long Island and you'd think that any traffic, certainly for trade, would have gone through Long Island Sound. That wasn't really the case, because larger boats had a great deal of dangerous time getting to New York because there were a whole lot of rocks. So normally, the shipping was on the South Shore, which meant that you constantly had trade from Europe. You had trade from even the southern colonies who would bring things up to New York. Coal barges, which would come from New Jersey and Pennsylvania, would be coming through. The trade was incredible. So this was the major highway.
My people go back to the early 1600s. And so naturally, if a boat came ashore, somebody had to take care of the people and to save them. All the people worked together, and it was a real tight community.
It was often the bell tolling of a church bell that let people know that there was a wreck. And people would go out, and they would go out with, you know, hot beverages or cold beverages or whatever was necessary. And we have stories of people with baked goods and things of this nature. So you get this informal life-saving, if you will, just because you're neighbors. And then as time goes on, after the Civil War, you get it formally created.
Then they came along and the government took over the life-saving service and made the pay grade. And that's when my father, most of the men that was whalers ended up being captains of the Coast Guard station.
The South Shore of Long Island was, of course, the primary site for shipwrecks with a lot of traffic. So the service placed 30 life-saving stations on the South Shore. Theoretically, halfway between two stations, there would be a beach patrol there. And also from the lookout tower, you could see halfway to the next station, so the whole coast was under surveillance and protected.
They were very interesting architecturally. You had one at Ditch Plain. You had one in Amagansett. You had one in Georgica. You had one in Wainscott. You had one back in Watermill. Then you just went, you know, about 10, 12 miles apart from one another.